Put you guys at the top. Welcome in to Inside Carolina's Postgame podcast. Sponsored by Johnny T-Shirt, JohnnyT-Shirt.com's Tommy Ashley. That's Taylor Vippolis and Dewey Burke. Threesome in here. Vip, since you got in here first, I'll start with you. Carolina loses 62-57 on senior night. Felt really, really similar to the game, if not almost perfectly similar to the game in Durham.
Yep, it's this game for me is this team is who we kind of thought they were. Their inability to close games late, an offense that gets pretty stagnant at times. They don't really have somebody that they can go to consistently, and then somewhat what you're going to get from Baycott, Love, and Davis, but when defenses are just collapsing on you, and the duo of Pete Nance and Leakey goes 2 of 10 from 3. It's almost a miracle that Carolina was even in a position to win. And for this team to be good, those guys have to hit shots. And I think it's as simple as that, because I think you had some good moments from Caleb, you had some good moments from RJ and Mondo, but when you're not really getting any outside threat, it makes it a lot easier for the Duke defense to kind of suffocate UNC the way they did, and they finished with, 57?
Yep, 57 points again. Dewey, you said repeatedly last time we did this podcast after the game in Durham, can't believe it, 57 points. 57 points again. What you thinking?
Just so frustrated. I watched the game with family, and I said to my father-in-law before the game started, I said, here's what I'm focused on. I'm focused on our shot quality. If we can get quality shots, I don't think they're that good, and we should win. I thought our shot quality was terrible. I thought we missed a lot of the actual halfway decent shots that we did get around the rim. We missed, it felt like, almost all of them. Missed a bunch of free throws. 57 points. Here we are again. And a text I got from a teammate. He said, we have to have the guts to make shots in the second half.
Uh, 6 for 18 on layups in this game, and obviously,
and
Lively.
don't give me Lively.
I was going to say, obviously, Lively is a shot blocker, but
come on,
you just got to make them, and you got to dunk on them.
He sat for 10 minutes. He sat from 17 to 7.
Yeah,
with 4 fouls.
He played 17 minutes total. Baycott 4 for 8. Leakey 3 for 16. Love 3 for 12. RJ 6 for 13, and Pete Nance 1 for 4. Carolina shoots 30% from the field. Duke not much better, 38%. Taylor, they are who we thought they are. So who are they? Are they a tournament team?
I don't think they're a tournament team. And I don't think this team has anybody to blame for not being a tournament team other than themselves. It's not the committee. It's not, Joe Lunardi on ESPN. It's not the net rankings. The eye test just says this isn't a tournament team. They struggle putting away teams. It's an offense that just looks really bad at times, and it's. To me, this isn't a tournament team. Maybe they have a run in the ACC tournament, but I think everything they've kind of proven up to this point is this is who they are, and anybody that's expecting some different results or some drastic different results, it's just a false notion at this point.
Yep, Carolina tied it up 43-all, and it's always tough doing this after the post game, but tied it up on RJ's 3, 43-all. And then went
up 4. They moved up 4 with Pete's 3.
Yeah, then they didn't score again though for 3.5 minutes, and then they went up on Davis's 3, 46-45, and then went up 4, 49-45 with 8:32 left on Pete's 3, and Duke pretty much, it was back and forth there for a little while. I mean, Dewey, you mentioned shot selection. I felt like they missed a ton of wide open looks, and they've done it all year. You make 14 on Monday night, you come back and you make 5 of 23 tonight. I mean, people need an explanation, Dewey, and you played it and you're a shooter. I don't, is there even one? It's just inconceivable to see how many, when they do get a good shot, to see how they miss them, and a lot of times not even close.
Yeah, I mean, you shoot 30% from the field, 21% from 3. We actually out-rebounded them in the second half. I'm looking at the stats because I believe when I checked at half, they were up, I don't know, 5 or 7 rebounds. Tommy, you have it in front of you. So we out-rebounded them in the second half. But we shot the ball so poorly that we couldn't overcome it. Look, Duke is not good. This is not a good Duke. This is not a good Duke team. They can't score either. 62-57. I feel like that should be the halftime score. I don't have an explanation. I mean, I thought in the first half Duke guarded us and took us out of what we wanted to do. Our shot quality was really low. Our shot quality was better in the second half. We missed a ton of layups. But even with all of that, when we made a couple of shots, here we are up 4, crowds into it. And nothing was sustainable. Nothing. You never had the ability to string together possessions in a row where you felt confident on either end. And even if to your point about 43-43, we would get, it was 43-43, and I think we got at least 2, if not 3 stops in a row, and then came down and either turned it over or had very, very low quality shots. I mean, you string together consecutive stops, that should change the momentum. You should be able to make a push, especially at home. And it just, every possession was so painful offensively. And Tommy, do you have it? I think we had 9 transition points in the first half. How many do we have in the second half?
What'd you say, fast break points? Second half?
Fast break points in the second half.
It says 9. Hold on. Second half box.
I think we had
0.
None. Yeah.
0.
None. Right? And we got plenty of stops. And there were several possessions where we got stops and got rebounds, and then we hold the ball. And we talked about this. Maybe it's a different philosophy. That I don't understand that. When you cannot score against their set 5 defensively, try to push the ball to get yourself in a position of advantage. We walk it up, dribble handoff, ball screen. Now it's under 10 on the shot clock, and we take a heave. I mean, our efficiency offensively was just brutal.
Yeah,
8 for 30 from the field in the second half. Go ahead, Taylor.
Yeah, my question with this team's inability to close out games is wondering, how much of a factor tired legs are. I think you saw in the first half, this was probably the most willing that Coach Davis was going to that bench early. Now, part of it was Puff gets hurt, part of it was foul trouble, but that didn't really feel like the game or the moment to see what those guys can do. That time was way earlier in the season. And when you don't develop a bench and you need them to contribute, you kind of see the results in that first half where Seth Trimble has 0 confidence shooting the ball, and he's very turnover prone. Dunn and Nickel don't have any rhythm to their shots, despite them having reputations as being shooters. Washington struggles defensively. Nickel struggles defensively. So I think you see in the first half why Coach Davis is reluctant to play some of those guys. And then as a result, in the second half, you kind of go back to that Iron 5 mentality. And then, once you get to 4 minutes, despite having the home crowd and despite having the momentum, those guys just seem to not be able to close out games. And it has become a trend at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I've said all year that Bacot needs to have as many shots as the average between Love and Davis. Well, Bacot had 8 field goal attempts tonight, and I understand he got fouled and all. 9 for 10 from the line. Got to give him credit there. But he had 8 shots. Love had 12. Davis had 13. Leakey had 16 shots. Baycott only 8. And to our point and to y'all's point, Lively played 17 minutes and Baycott played 30. So he's out there for another 13 minutes without him and didn't get the ball. I mean, it's just brutal. Those possessions, those empty possessions, it felt like the NC State game. Carolina was up 6 against NC State in the second half, and just empty possession after empty possession allows State to get back. Look, and then give Duke credit. Duke ran some sets there at the end, and Dewey, this is where I want to get you in here. Duke ran some sets at the end, and then Roach hadn't done anything all night. He gets a ball screen, and
that was the one. That one.
Let's talk about that because I'm not sure anybody was doing anything in Carolina Blue on that one.
Yeah, I mean, arguably the most critical defensive possession of the game, down 1, and we give up a layup. I believe in the game at Cameron, we were down 2 when Roach penetrated and got that layup off a ball screen. He finished with the left to put him up 4. But in such a critical possession in the game, in a low-scoring, I don't even know if it was a low possession game. It felt like a low possession game because the scoring was so bad, but a low-scoring game in one of the defining defensive possessions under a minute, and you give up a largely uncontested layup to a 6-foot guy, just like we did over in Durham. And so, I don't know. There's a toughness. Oh, here comes Caroline. Hey, I'm doing a show. Go ahead. I love you, baby.
All right, that's awesome. Perspective right there.
There's things bigger than basketball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. She's waiting for me to play a game with her. But in one of the most critical possessions of the game, defensively, we're a sieve and we give up an uncontested layup. It's inexcusable. And we've talked about this. We talked about this on the podcast with Justin. The types of drills we would do to finish practice must stop. Must finish with a perfect defensive possession. And let me explain that. A perfect defensive possession means that if the possession in practice, if that was in a game and the staff was grading it, no one made a single mistake. It wasn't enough just to get a stop. Because if you made any error, it wasn't a perfect defensive possession, and we did it again. And then we did it again. And then we did it again. Until you had a perfect defensive possession, a perfect stop, where every communication was right, every rotation was right, you were off the ball in the right position, on the ball, everything was perfect. That's how we finished practice. Perfect stop, must-stop defense, one-stop defense. That possession was that, and we gave up an uncontested layup. So as Taylor said, we are who we thought they are.
Yeah, when you do it repeatedly over and over and over. The reason we've talked about how Carolina's not really a tournament team, and somebody in the chat's comparing Carolina's resume with Duke's. Well, Duke just beat Carolina for the second time. So that's really not a fair question.
Duke is also 14-6 in the ACC. They beat UVA. I don't think Duke is a good team by any stretch of the imagination. I have a hard time seeing them get out of the first weekend in the NCAA tournament. But comparing the two resumes is you're wasting your breath if you think they're even close.
Yeah. Taylor, what'd you think about Philipowski? I thought he was ACC Player of the Year. If I had a vote and I voted after this game, I'd probably give it to him, to be honest with you. I thought he was fantastic, and Carolina could do nothing with him. Leakey had no shot against him. What'd you see there?
Yeah, Carolina really didn't have any answers for him. I thought
he's a pro. He's a pro, right? That's a pro.
Yeah. They didn't really have any answers for him. It's tough to give him ACC Player of the Year just off of one game. I think as a whole, this has just been a pretty down year for trying to figure out who the ACC Player of the Year is. He started off strong. Baycott has had his moments. Both the NC State guys, Wong from Miami, Burton from Pitt. If I had to choose somebody, I think I would go Wong just off of Miami being the 1 seed in the ACC, and Wong has been a pretty steady part in Miami, not just this year, but the past couple of years. And I think voters they shouldn't take that into consideration, but I think voters are more likely to vote for returning guys than the newcomers like Philipowski.
Perhaps he's awfully good. Taylor, Dewey, let me ask you one question. I mean, there's not much left to say about this. Carolina loses to Duke 62-57. Will play, I think they're the 7th seed in the ACC tournament, if my analysis is correct. Have no idea who they'll play. It should be Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. But Dewey, let me ask you this one question. Carolina calls a timeout late to set up a play, and I think that wasn't it under a minute or right around the minute.
Gift from Philipowski misses the front end.
Yep. Carolina comes
down 3, 17 seconds left.
Tell me what you saw there, because they are what they thought that what we thought they are is basically what I saw.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't get a quality shot. It didn't. I got to go back and watch it, but it didn't seem to me to really be a quick hitter in terms of getting an open look for somebody in rhythm. I think they just ran something to get into the flow, and it was really just a modified motion. But we struggled to do anything offensively. You know, they denied on the wings, on passing. They made it hard to get the ball to Baycott. When he did get it, they doubled, and they dared Leaky to beat them, and he couldn't. He was that open for a reason. You know, the stats don't lie. And I know what happened on Monday, but that was the aberration. Come on, that was the exception, not the rule. And yeah, look, out of a timeout, we got a terrible look. That no question about that. Which is challenging, guys. I'm literally on TV live.
Okay, you
go,
missed them.
go.
All right,
Close
we
the
need to
door.
let Dewey get out of here. Let's closing thoughts here. Let's
Sorry,
Taylor,
guys.
give me your Carolina. I think they're in a position where they got to win the ACC tournament. Really can't see that happening. But how do you see next week playing out?
I think at the very least they have to make it to the ACC championship, and then I think it just goes back to the point where a team that struggles this much closing out games and wondering how much fatigue is a factor, winning what's going to be 3 straight games in 3 straight days
to get to the championship would be
yeah. So it's not at 0%, but it's pretty low to win the ACC. This team has shown flashes of if they could put together 40 minutes. They haven't shown that they could really do that outside of the Virginia game, the Clemson game. So I think the talent is there. It's just will the role players kind of step up, and does Carolina have any kind of a bench to take some of the pressure off the Calebs and the RJs and Mondos?
all right,
Other
Dewey.
one.
Yep,
I got them all.
Let's Dewey. I'm gonna let you perform under pressure and with a triple team going on, a double team going on. Just final thoughts before we get out of here. Shout out to the 400+ people in there.
Hey, can you say go Tar Heels?
Go Tar Heels.
Go Tar Heels. Yeah, tonight wasn't our night. Okay, you go. Look, bye-bye. In a game we absolutely had to have, I was not overly impressed with our effort. I was not impressed with our execution. I was not impressed with our guts to make shots when you had to have them. With your back against the wall, you'd think you would literally kill yourself to win this game. And I just don't think that I necessarily saw that. I thought at times in the first half, I thought Mondo really played hard. He ran the floor. But again, I repeat, this is not a good Duke team. This is not a good Duke team. They're average. They're not ranked. They're average. They'll be a tournament team. And as we said, I don't know that they get out of the first weekend. And it's just it's like a wet fart. Just like so disappointing that we wouldn't bring the fight to them, that we wouldn't feed off the crowd, that we wouldn't be tough enough to make shots and get stops and capitalize on plenty of Duke mistakes and missed shot. What did Duke shoot? What was their percentage?
36. 37.
Seeing how average the Duke team has to be the most frustrating part.
Yeah, that's right. Just they're not that good, and we're worse. Unfortunately.
Sums it up. Carolina loses 62-57 to Duke in the Smith Center. Props to the crowd. The crowd was unbelievable in the Dean Dome. The game was ugly, but Duke found a way to get it done late. Jeremy Roach making that layup we talked about sort of iced it for them. Carolina will have to get ready for the ACC tournament, I guess, Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. I guess that could change. We'll see. But Taylor Vippolis, Dewey Burke, another regular season down on the Inside Carolina podcast, sponsored by Johnny T-Shirt. Thank you guys so much.